Good morning, everyone. I am Ms. Delta 9, and I would like to welcome you back to my channel. This channel explores awakening, trauma, education, the nervous system healing, consciousness, spirituality, emotional growth, and learning to understand ourselves through compassion rather than judgment. So before we begin, I want to say something important. The conversation on this channel are educational only. I am not a licensed physician, psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, or medical provider, and nothing discussed here is intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or replace professional medical or psychological or mental health care when needed. Please seek qualified professional support where and when it's appropriate for your personal circumstances. This space is intended for education, awareness, reflection, and compassion. Because sometimes understanding what happened inside us becomes the beginning of our healing. So many themes here are also explored through my writings and upcoming works, including Cracked Wide Open and the Trauma Responses Learned. These are companion explorations into awakening, survival, adaptation, the nervous system response, and what healing can begin to look like when you stop blaming ourselves for surviving. So today's conversation may be difficult. For some people, it may feel validating. For some, painful. For others, perhaps the first time pieces of their life suddenly begin to make sense to them. Because today we're discussing generosity versus fawning. When is kindness genuine? And when might the nervous system be surviving? What happens when a child learns to my safety depends upon keeping others comfortable? How does that become adulthood? Relationships? Does it become people-pleasing, overgiving, appeasing, ignoring red flags, drinking to tolerate, losing identity, or organizing your entire day around someone else's emotional state? Most importantly, here, how do we heal? This is not a blame discussion. Not blaming parents, not blaming caregivers, not blaming ourselves. Many people raised children while carrying wounds they themselves never understood. Unconscious patterns often pass unconsciously. Children will adapt, bodies adapt, brains adapt, and sometimes adaptation becomes a personality. So if today you recognize yourself, meet yourself gently with curiosity, not with shame, because the survival response, these responses are intelligent, and the awareness may become the doorway towards healing. Section 1, the nervous system, trauma response, and why the body adapts. Before discussing fawning, we need to discuss the body, because many people spend years blaming themselves for reactions that began as protection. Your body is extraordinary. Your nervous system is extraordinary. And long before the conscious mind understands danger, the body directs, responds, protects. And this does not mean weakness. This means survival. The autonomic nervous system, abbreviated capital A, capital N, capital S, the body is something called the autonomic nervous system, and it's often shortened in the way I just discussed. This system regulates many functions outside conscious control, such as heart rate, digestion, breathing, blood pressure, hormonal responses, sleep, stress activation, energy regulation, perception of safety. The nervous system is constantly scanning and asking, am I safe? Or should I prepare for danger? There are two major branches that influence this. The sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or freeze. When a threat is perceived, physical threat, emotional threat, relational threat, unpredictability, or criticism, or conflict, abandonment, the sympathetic nervous system may activate. The body prepares for survival. Stress hormones may increase. One discussed often is cortisol. Often cortisol is commonly called the stress hormone. Cortisol itself is not bad. We need it. It helps us to wake us up, to respond, to adapt, to protect ourselves, to survive. The issue is not cortisol existing. The issue can become prolonged activation, years of hypervigilance, years of unpredictability, years of survival. The body may remain alert even long after the dangers have passed. You may notice difficulty relaxing, or a hyper-awareness, or scanning facial expressions, or reading moods, or digestive changes, sleep disruption, anxiety, muscle tension, exhaustion, people-pleasing, always preparing, always anticipating, yes? Well, the adrenal and survival. The body can release adrenaline. That increases our heart rate, breathing changes, attention narrows, energy shifts, and the body says, we must survive first. Healing, digestion, rest, and repair, those all become secondary because survival becomes our priority. And then we have the parasympathetic system, parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest and restore. That's the other branch of the nervous system that supports recovery. It's often called rest and digest and repair. It's connection, recovery. The parasympathetic system helps support digestion, sleep, calms you down, helps with healing, with presence, with regulation, with feeling safe enough to exhale. The body says, perhaps danger is not immediate. Perhaps we can soften some, yes? But during trauma or trauma changes, adaptation takes place. When stress is prolonged, particularly in childhood, the nervous system can begin to organize itself around survival. Not because something's wrong with you, but because something happened around you. Children in unpredictable environments sometimes become experts at reading moods, monitoring tension, watching expressions, avoiding conflict, anticipating emotional storms. Yes, the body learns safety depends upon others being okay. That becomes important later. So remember that, because this can become what we call fawning, appeasing, overgiving, people-pleasing, hypervigilance. Yes? Because we have serotonin and emotional regulation. Long-term stress may influence our neurotransmitters, the system involved in mood and emotional regulation, including serotonin pathways. Serotonin participates in many functions associated with mood regulation, our sleep, our appetite, our emotional balance, our well-being. And this does not mean that every difficult situation equals low serotonin. However, humans are more complex than that. But prolonged stress can affect how safe, regulated, and emotionally stable a person feels over time. So healing, therefore, may involve more than thoughts alone. Sleep patterns, nutrition matters, relationship matters, boundaries matter, safety matters, the body matters, right? Often most people are very common with fight, flight, freeze. They're not familiar with fawn. So it's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And many know fight and flight and freeze. Few or no fawn. Fight, I survive by confronting. I may appear as anger or control or defensive or be argumentative or just irritability. If I flight, I survived by escaping. I may appear as though I have perfectionism or overworking or anxiety or busyness in my body, right? Achievement addiction, constant doing. And then we have the freeze. I survive by shutting down. That may appear as numbness, brain fog, a collapse, exhaustion, or just feeling stuck or silent. Yes? Now, fawn, I survive by pleasing. I survive by adapting. I survive by shrinking. I survive by becoming what others need from me. This trauma response often develops where emotional safety felt uncertain. The body learns to keep peace, to smile, to perform, to help, to disappear, to rescue, to appease, not consciously, but biologically. So, I'd like to pause here for a minute. And I want you to ask yourself gently, when I am stressed, do I fight? Do I run? Do I shut down or organize my entire world around keeping others comfortable? No judgment, just awareness. Because awareness may be where this healing begins. We will transition into section 2. I will see you there.